On July 6, 2016, something tragic and incredibly heartbreaking happened in Robbinsdale, Minnesota. News of this terrible ordeal traveled like wildfire and eventually brought the whole state, some would even argue the whole country, to its knees. It all starts with Philando Castile. Philando was 32 years old at the time of this case. Originally from St. Louis, Missouri, Philando had since moved to Robbinsdale, where he worked for the St. Paul Public School District. Philando was in nutrition services, meaning that he would help monitor and adapt school meals and prep to tailor to children's needs. But that wasn't all he did. Philando was known to quietly pay for students' meals at school, doing his best to make sure that no child went home hungry at the end of the day. And on the evening of July 6th, 2016, he was on his way back from an activity that was very in tune with his daily profession. Earlier, he'd gotten his hair cut, had dinner with his sister, and then he picked up his girlfriend, Diamond Reynolds, to go to do some grocery shopping. Together with them that evening, in the back seat of the car, was Diamond's 4-year-old daughter. As the evening drew on, Philando caught sight of blue lights in his rearview mirror. He pulled over to the side of the street and waited as 2 officers approached the car from behind. On the one side, moving towards Diamond, was Joseph Calzer. On the other, making his way to Philando, was Jeronimo Yanez. The 2 officers had been friends for a long time and had even graduated from the police academy at Minnesota State University together. They now worked the same beat and were unofficially considered to be each other's partners. Around 9 o'clock that evening, another police officer radioed in that he was planning on pulling over Philando's car because Philando looked like a suspect in a robbery that had occurred in the area a few days before. After radioing back and forth, it was decided that Jeronimo and Joseph would be the ones to conduct the traffic stop. Police officers in St. Paul did not wear body cams at the time that Philando was pulling his car over to the side of the road. But what happened next was captured forever in the dashcam of the police cruiser. It would be a 40-second encounter that would forever shape and change so many lives. Jeronimo stood talking with Philando through the driver's side window and asked for his license and registration. After taking a quick, passing glance at Philando's license, Jeronimo then slipped it into the front pocket of his shirt and went on to talk to Philando further. It was then calmly and respectfully that Philando said, quote, "Sir, I have to tell you that I do have a firearm on me." Philando was licensed to carry and own a firearm, and now with 2 police officers staring into his car, with his girlfriend and a 4-year-old child in there with him, Philando thought it best to inform them that he had a weapon before there was a misunderstanding. But before Philando could even finish his sentence, Jeronimo interrupted him. "Okay," he is recorded as saying, just like the dashcam footage shows him reach a hand for the holster of his own gun. "Okay, don't reach for it then. Don't pull it out." In mere seconds, Jeronimo's composure began quickly changing. "I'm not pulling it out," Philando responds, and within seconds, his statement is confirmed by Diamond, who can be heard as saying that Philando wasn't reaching for his weapon. Jeronimo repeated, raising his voice, "Don't pull it out," as he quickly pulled out his own gun with his right hand and reached inside the driver's window with his left hand. Diamond screamed, "No." Jeronimo removed his left arm from the car and rapidly fired 7 shots in the direction of Philando. Diamond yelled, "You just killed my boyfriend." The scene quickly devolved into absolute chaos. In between the shots and in the following empty silence, Diamond began to scream, yelling at Jeronimo that he had just killed Philando. Philando can also be heard speaking, his voice laced with the pained moan, "I wasn't reaching for it."
Good. How are you? Good. Reason I pulled you over, your brake lights are out. So you only have one active brake light, and that's going to be your passenger side one. Your third brake light, which is up here on top, and then this one back here, is going to be out. You have your license and insurance?
Sir, I have to tell you, I do have a firearm on me.
Don't reach for it then. Don't pull it out. Don't pull it out.
move! Don't move!
Oh my God, I'm shaking!
Don't move!
Don't move, baby!
Code 3! Get the baby girl out of here!
Don't move, sir.
Don't move!
Don't move, babe, please. Whatever you
6921, get back here, code 3! Shots fired!
stay with me.
Medics, code 3!
We got pulled over for a busted tail light in the back. And the police, he's tired. He ain't got my his license. He's carried the license to carry. He was trying to get out his ID and his wallet out his pocket. And he let the officer know that he was...
Jeronimo had fired 7 shots at Philando at point-blank range. 5 of those shots hit him, 2 of which pierced his heart. Most likely in a panic and for fear of her own daughter's life, Diamond picked up her phone and began live streaming the events unfolding around her. She captured Philando slumped over and moaning in the seat beside her. In the recording, Jeronimo can be heard shouting and swearing as Diamond says, "You shot 4 bullets into him, sir. He was just getting his license and registration." Then, overlapping each other, Jeronimo can be heard shouting, "I told him not to reach for it. I told him to get his hand open." At the same time, Diamond pleads, "Please don't tell me he's dead." Still recording, Diamond is then ordered out of the vehicle, where she's forced to the ground and handcuffed. She loses her phone in the scuffle and continues to film from the ground, but no longer shows us exactly who is speaking. But dashcams and cameras inside the police cruiser then captured the heartbreaking and chilling voice of a child. Diamond's 4-year-old daughter, who'd been removed from Philando's vehicle and placed inside the cruiser, begs her mother to stay quiet. "Mom, please stop cussing and screaming because I don't want you to get shooted." Diamond claimed that in the hours following the shooting, she was treated like a criminal. Still handcuffed, Diamond was escorted back to the police station where she was questioned throughout the night. She wasn't released until 5 o'clock the next morning. She also claimed that in the immediate aftermath of the shooting, none of the officers at the scene, or the ones who flocked thereafter, checked to see if Philando was still alive. Because he was. After 5 direct hits, 2 of which had pierced his heart, Philando was still in the car, clinging to life. It was only when first responders arrived at the scene that anyone realized that he was still alive and breathing. He was rushed to the hospital, but by then, unfortunately, it was too late. He died about 20 minutes later. In less than 24 hours, his story would spread across the country and ignite a feeling of anger and betrayal that would not easily be put out. In half a day, Diamond's recording would get 2.5 million views, and protesters began to gather at the scene of the shooting. For 2 days, the people of St. Paul stood together in peaceful protests and vigils, but by July 9th, their anger had bubbled over into sour fury. Things turned violent. 21 officers were injured as protesters threw rocks, bottles, and Molotov cocktails. Law enforcement responded with pepper spray, tear gas, and over 102 arrests. Highways and entire city blocks came to a standstill, but what the people really wanted was justice. Jeronimo Yanez told his version of the events, trying his very best to clear his name and his image. He claimed that he had been in fear for his own life. His justification for being so was that Philando had been abusing Diamond's 4-year-old daughter. "I thought I was going to die," transcripts from his interview with the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension read, "and I thought if he has the guts and the audacity to smoke marijuana in front of the 5-year-old girl and risk her life by giving her secondhand smoke, then what care does he give about me?" Jeronimo and his lawyers tried to flip the script and blamed everything on Philando. The abuse was secondhand smoke. But an investigation into the incident brought second-degree manslaughter charges against Jeronimo. After 5 days in court, he was acquitted of all charges. He was, however, immediately fired from the police department, but only after he received almost $49,000 in a severance agreement. The entire debacle had been one more slap in the face for Philando's family and for Diamond. Determined to see some sort of justice done, they filed wrongful death lawsuits against the city and won about $3.8 million. This was little compensation for the damage done to all of them that day, especially for those that had been in the car and witnessed the shooting firsthand. But from it has spouted some good that perhaps captures the true essence of Philando Castile. The school he'd once worked at set up the Philando Castile Memorial Scholarship in his honor, but that was only the beginning. After that came the Philando Castile Relief Foundation, a charity that tries to address gun violence, but also pays off students' lunch debts, just like Philando had been doing himself in secret. Part of their funding comes directly from the Castile family themselves and will continue to do so in the future. That is 10-Minute Murder for today. Brief and bingeable true crime. My name is Joe, I'm the host, and thank you for taking the time to listen. If you're a brand new listener, right now, do me a huge favor, hit subscribe. Wherever you're listening, hit the subscribe button, and that is more easily going to help you catch up on all the back episodes. And when the new ones come out, you're right there first in line for them. You'll see them immediately. Connect with me on social media, links are in the show notes, or you can go to 10minutemurder.com. And one last huge favor, if you listen someplace where you can rate and review, please do that. 5 stars helps this show grow more and more. And if there's an additional place you can put a little message in there, talk about what you like about this podcast. That helps people find the podcast more easily and give it a listen. And quickly, let's read an email, maybe the shortest email I've ever received. This is from Casey in Albuquerque. She says, do you have, it might not be a she, I just realized. This could be a boy, Casey. Do you have a favorite quote? And the short answer is no, I don't have a favorite, but I have one that kind of has stuck with me for a while that I really do like, and I think it fits this podcast and it fits this kind of world that we live in pretty appropriately. It's, you can wipe away someone's tears, but not their pain. And that was written by Leonardo da Vinci. And that's not the Ninja Turtle, that's the painter, inventor, Leonardo. All right, that is your episode for today. Thank you so much for listening to 10-Minute Murder.